What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the You Know Ball podcast. I am your host, Trill Brodude, and today I am excited to have back onto the podcast for the third time in a few months, actually. What's that?
It's been weeks.
It has been.
When am I getting on the payroll?
We have our intern here, our unpaid intern. I don't even make money off the podcast yet, except for like the few $100s I've got donated to it. So,
and I want my cut.
Yeah,
I'm unionizing. It's a one-man vote. I can get it.
It is incredibly appropriate that I haven't even got to the point where I can introduce you, and we're almost a minute into the podcast.
We're at 51, 52, 53, and go.
I have Matt, a.k.a. Panasonic 4500 DX, the worst name in the history of Twitter.
You already fucked it up. It's Panasonic DX 4500.
Oh, God, who cares? Like, let's be honest.
At this point, I'm just keeping it so that when I come on here, I can see you struggle with it. It's worth
it. Well, thank you for that. I really appreciate it. So up top, we're going to talk a little bit. We're actually going to get into the topic before Matt can derail the discussion further somehow. And we are going to talk about some rumors that are flying around. We love rumors here. We love Slop. It's almost been a month since the trade deadline, which doesn't even feel real to me.
No.
Because
you know what's crazy that I was thinking about the other day? The Color Star shit happened this year.
That is crazy.
That was this year. That was like weeks ago that we were all trying to figure out like what kind of shady sentient NFT had like somehow like skynetted its way into the Sixers organization. And then we just dropped that and James Harden showed up. That was like this season.
Well, do you think that was part of it? So I don't know if you listened to my episode that I did on Color Star earlier this year. I know you don't listen to podcasts. But when I did that episode, James Harden actually did have a connection to Red Phoenix, which was one of the companies that was involved in Color. We've already gotten off topic. It's amazing. But James Harden was connected to one of the Houston-based companies that was involved with Color Star, and he did a video for them. And he talked about like it was like his fans in China, I believe. It's like the whole thing was incredibly confusing.
He didn't know what the fuck that was. He did not know. He just signed a paper. They put a camera in his face. He said some stuff. He doesn't have a computer. He doesn't go online.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Kyrie. Maybe he doesn't have internet.
If you ask James Harden what an NFT was, he would tell you that it has like bacon, lettuce, and tomato in it, and maybe some like mayonnaise. And that's why we love him. He's like him and Daryl Morey is like an odd couple kind of thing. It's like, like one's super neat, one's super messy, one doesn't own a computer, one wants to replace his eyeballs with the thing like Geordie LaForge had in Star Trek, so he can see NFT stocks fluctuate in real time. It's great.
Yeah, it's a perfect pairing, really. We needed that balance,
What was the topic that we were supposed to be on again?
Speaking of Republicans, Andrew Bogut, our favorite. Honestly, I hated Andrew Bogut's game, but I respect his politics so much that I just had to bring him up on here.
NBA champion, Andrew Bogut. Thank you.
That's right. Number 1 overall pick, Andrew Bogut.
Was he?
Yes.
Oh,
that was a very weird draft. 2005, I think it was.
That was like him number 1. That was like one of those like 2013 years where it's just like, some stuff happened.
Yeah, I can't even remember who was from that draft off the top of my head, but I know that Andrew Bogut was number 1, and I do believe he was actually supposed to be even better than he was, but had a ton of injuries. And like he was a good role player. Like he was like
wasn't the LeBron draft was 2004, right?
2003. 2004 2004 was Dwight. Wait.
Okay, that's different. No.
Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty sure 2003 was LeBron, 2004 was Dwight.
I was just thinking, like, imagine you get the number 1 pick the year after LeBron goes to Cleveland and you get Andrew Bogut. I would just quit basketball.
Same level of player, really, if you think about it. Equally as good politics.
I want like the NBA super friends of like Andrew Bogut, Michael Porter Jr., and Enes Kanter Freedom to just like unite and save the world from the CCP.
Jonathan Isaac Erasure. Right there. Actually, to be fair, it is easy to forget about him because he doesn't play basketball. How
mad was he that Enes Kanter got like the CPAC speaking? It was like in Orlando, and like he's there, and they didn't call him.
Yeah. Wow. It's literally in Orlando?
I think so.
Wow. Congratulations for being so close. You went to Orlando recently, didn't you?
I was in Orlando this last weekend, and it is. I said this, and I know you saw it. It's like if you were trying to build a city, but like you used up all the good blocks, and all you have left are like shopping plazas and overpasses, and you just have to like stack them on top of each other and like say, "Look, I made a city." And it's like, no, you made North Jersey. And you
I literally said it was like. My girlfriend grew up in Central Jersey, and I'm like, I've never seen an entire, which I don't even believe is real Central Jersey. I believe that's a psyop.
No, it doesn't. But it's North and South Jersey. No,
of course. Yeah, of course. Because you're a normal person with a normal brain. You're not a sicko from Jersey who believes these things. But in Jersey, it is literally just shopping plazas and strip malls and highway. That's it. And then the beach.
No, that's what I was like driving around Orlando, and like it's hellish because it's all this like confusing like overpass and stuff. But I felt more at home because like I know how this works. It's urban sprawl hell, but I've been here. I'm familiar with what I'm doing. But yeah, it's like it's Orlando is like I'm not even saying this is a bad way because it was fine, but like it's like if you had like one of those like Google AIs like generate a picture and you told it make a city and like you fed it, or like one of those things like we fed this computer 1,500 Seinfeld scripts and it made an episode. Like it's like we gave this computer 18 different cities and the entire topography of New Jersey and it made Orlando. And I got to see the Amway Center. So
cool. Nice.
The Sixers legends, Markel Fultz, and best rookie of the year in the 21st century for the Sixers, Michael Carter Williams.
That's right. Pretty much the same player as the other rookie of the year too, if you really think about it.
I'm gonna say right now, Ben Simmons never had a MCW debut game against the Heat.
That's right.
He never took over a game
quadruple
like that.
Double.
Yeah,
that's true.
That was the first game of the Heatles.
It was
like the first, yeah. I think that was like their big debut, and Michael Carter Williams just came the fuck in there.
No. It was the second year they were together.
Well, okay, whatever. Shut up. I make my own.
No. Actually, this was like the third year of the Heatles, dude. The Heatles were 2010. This was 2013, dude. That's when Michael Carter Williams was drafted.
Agree, disagree.
All right, let's actually get into the topic 8 minutes into the podcast. So
the topic's Andrew Bogut. So like,
well, one of my favorite people who I love and respect very much because the lying liberal lamestream media will have you believe that Andrew Bogut does not spit truth. But today he was spitting truth. He was spitting facts on his podcast, and the liberal media in LA and New York and DC is sick to their stomach to hear that Bradley Beal will be a Sixer this offseason, in addition to James Harden, Tyrese Maxey, and Joel Embiid.
This was the first like NBA trade rumor that came over CB radio as like the guys like driving a truck cab around the DC Beltway screaming something about Joe Biden being like compromised by Ukraine. Asking where the laptop is and just like screaming about the laptop, cancel culture, Bradley Beal trade rumors. And then something about Hunter Biden that I can't even get in the weeds of it anymore.
Yeah, I'm totally out of the loop with the latest rumors. But when it comes to all that good, fun political stuff that is very normal and sane. But it is appropriate that Sixers fans did run with it from the InfoWars NBA guy, because we really are InfoWars at a deep in our soul.
Great. We will take any source and like with no shame.
Absolutely.
I saw going into the trade deadlines, there were people like 100 follower accounts just like saying the random shit, and I saw like every Sixers fan be like, well, I've never heard him steer me wrong.
Never been wrong before. I don't know if you followed this, but there was this one guy who is like a musician, and he's like, I don't even know if he does. I think he does like R&B or something. But like last year, it was in the midst of all the Dame stuff, he would just tweet, Sixers and Knicks are front runners for Damian Lillard. He's about to ask for a trade. He would tweet this like once a week, and he had a verified check mark, so everyone thought it was real, but he was verified for his music, not for his NBA rumors or reporting. And he kept tweeting it over and over and over. And then when CJ McCollum got traded, he tweeted it again. He got like 10,000 followers because of it.
I want to find a way to get like I want the cheapest, easiest way to get a blue check mark. Like just like for some random bullshit, and then I can just run that thing into the ground until Twitter bans me.
Get a job at The Athletic.
Okay, if anyone at The Athletic is listening to this, you sickos, please hire me. I will cover the Sacramento beat or whatever.
I actually do have a person who works at The Athletic that listens to this. So if you are listening, please reach out to Matt, and we're gonna get him a job just to get him a check mark, and then he will quit, or your company will go under. Either or.
I can be the story for you guys. It'll be great. I'll just generate whatever rumors you guys want, and then you can write about it. It's like a self-fulfilling machine.
You could be the Andrew Bogut of The Athletic, is what you're saying, with worse politics. But
yes,
anyway,
absolutely worse.
So, Bogut comes out and basically says that he has heard from around the NBA that Bradley Beal is interested in joining James Harden and Joel Embiid in Philadelphia to form a big three. Now, Andrew Bogut actually did have some legitimate rumors leading up to the trade deadline. And like, I don't think that Andrew Bogut is, once again, a credible journalist or like an insider or anything, but I'm sure he hears some things. He has a podcast like me. He played in the NBA. He knows people. So he hears things. Us podcasters can be trusted. So I don't know if you heard about people's reaction to this, but there were people that were like, most people actually were like, I don't know. Like, yeah, do we really even need Bradley Beal? And then I was like, yes. I need a new star on the Sixers every 6 months to fill my deep sickness that is within me.
I mean, I get it's because we all love Maxey so much right now, and we just want that to keep going forever. And like, I kind of get that, but like, it's at the end of the day, it's
we don't have to trade. We don't have to trade. We don't have to trade Maxey.
No, but like, it would obviously he's not going to be able to like. You can't run like a Harden, Beal, Maxey.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
Who is going? Okay, so realistically, ideally, James Harden is guarding power forwards. Like, that is his best role because he's not super quick. He's strong in the post. Like, unless you're going up against the Bucks and like Giannis, like he's going to be able to guard the majority of fours. And like maybe someone like Boston and Tatum, like they're going to be teams that could give you trouble. But ultimately, Harden can be put on fours and threes, and you can start Maxey and Beal in the backcourt, or you can bring Maxey off the bench in the Tyler Hero role, like I've talked about before. And you basically then guarantee yourself 48 minutes of elite guard play the entire game. Now, would you prefer to have a forward, a Paul George, or whoever's out there that could be like a 3-and-D creator type that would be a better fit with Joel Embiid and James Harden and Tyrese Maxey? Yes. But at the same time, he's not a free agent. Like, there's no the reason why you go after Bradley Beal is because he is a free agent this summer. Him and Zach LaVine are really the only two free agents worth going after this summer in terms of like max players. And if Beal is interested in coming here, you just do it and you figure out the rest later. Like, that's my whole thing. It's like, just get the top 30 player and then put him with your top 10 player and your top 5 player, and you figure out the rest later.
Yeah, I mean, it's just at the end of the day. Yeah, I mean, like if you can have Bradley Beal as a third option, I mean, you can't do it. You have to do it. You have to, and of course, Daryl Morey is a complete sicko and an insane person. He'll jump on that without any regard whatsoever. I know that. I'm completely Morey pilled again now. I know for a while it was like dipping, but like, yeah, no, we're back.
Yeah,
and
I'm back on the bandwagon.
I mean, the real thing is like they can open up a max slot if they can dump Tobias.
Close. They can't get a full. They can't get a full. Well, think about it like this. So this summer, Joel will still be on his first max contract. So this will be the last summer that Joel will be on that original max deal instead of before the super max kicks in. But unless Harden's like, yeah, I'll take 20 million less a year, you're not going to be able to open up enough cap space to get a full max. Like unless you literally cut everyone and move everyone off the team except for the three, which by the way, I'd pretty much be fine. Like at this point, after this season, like I'm not thinking about after this season yet because I'm just like, I want like the team's very good right now. And like, they might have a chance to win the title and like all that stuff. But just like generally speaking, the only players that I would not move this offseason are Maxey, Niang, Harden, and Embiid because and probably Shake just because Shake's on a minimum deal and like Shake isn't good, but like he's on a minimum deal. Like it's like you're not gonna get anyone much better on a minimum deal.
Yeah, he's not good, but like there's not gonna be. I mean, unless you get like a ring chaser who's just gonna take an absolute minimum just because. And but yeah, I mean honestly, I think this is like just part of like the deep down Sixers Twitter still has like process error brain a little of like saying like you can't just go all in and all that, but like the other thing is like even with Maxey, who is amazing and fantastic, my idea is like James Harden's like 32.
Don't say
Joel Embiid is what?
Don't say it.
I'm just saying Joel Embiid's 28, about to be 28, and has had like a history of knee injuries. You got to do everything you can to win the title in the next 3 years. And like anything you get after that is bonus. And like, I'm so happy that it turns out Maxey can be is looking like the kind of guy who can contribute to that in the 3-year span because I wasn't sure if he could.
Right.
But it turns out, he just needed a James Harden "I'm open" tweet to like unlock his next layer, which is already becoming such. I have to imagine something that was the vibe shift that everyone talks about. That tweet going out that changed everything.
Yeah, thank you, Wob. Thank you for your lack of ball knowledge.
Do you see the meltdown he had after the Knicks loss, the first one?
I don't know if you saw the meltdown that he had after people didn't understand that tweet, but I thought that was pretty hilarious.
Wasn't he pretending? He was pretending he was
like,
joking.
"Oh, I was doing irony," and then like went on. I did some thread on his other account about how like people aren't smart enough to get his humor, and I'm like, "Yeah, no, it was a stupid joke." I don't
know. No, he was just being stupid. He was just being stupid.
Harden's one of the best passers and playmakers of all time. You don't know ball clearly.
It was just he was descending to like drill level of like cope and defensiveness.
Don't put it in the newspaper. He was mad.
I was not mad. I was not serious. Please do not put in the Athletic that was a serious tweet.
We're the Athletic too. But like,
I mean, the Beal. To me, the Beal rumor, it's like, I don't have anything to really discuss about other than like, obviously, you do it if you can. You do it.
Yeah.
It's not, you don't overthink it.
Yeah. Also, my favorite part about this is like Sixers fans have been talking about Tobias Harris, and me specifically have been talking about Tobias Harris for most of the season, if not the last 2 weeks, just being like, just get rid of this dude. Like, they literally might be better without him. And then they're like, you could trade Tobias Harris's contract and like 2 first-round picks just to get off the money for Bradley Beal. And everyone's like, is he the right fit though?
I if Harden wasn't here, I would get the decision to not do it. But like you can make Bradley Beal your third option after Embiid's not open, Harden's not open, Bradley Beal's open. Okay, yeah, sure, let's go with that.
Oh, and then by the way, if you can get away with playing 3 guards, then you have Tyrese Maxey as your 4th option, flying around and catching and shooting and attacking, and like I just don't know how you guard that. And like my whole thing. is it. I keep going back to like last summer. I tweeted and I said if Sixers Twitter ran the team, it would be Embiid and 15 guards.
And it's coming true. And we had like the Twitter posting king actually take over the team, and he's slowly but surely making that real.
Yeah, like
just,
it
Embiid, 13 guards, and Niang just chilling, hanging out.
Niang, who has become a literal king over the past 2 weeks here in Philadelphia. I mean, we already loved him, but because he can't miss and because he's such a willing shooter and like talk shit, like he's just become an absolute legend here in Philadelphia. Very rare that a Boston man becomes a legend in Philadelphia. Do you think most people think he's European?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Never heard him
I
talk?
just assumed that. Yeah. And you don't hear him talk, and you just assume that he's from Turkey or something like that.
Yeah, they're just like, yeah, he's Turkish. That makes sense.
That passes. I gotta say, Niang going off is like the worst thing that could have happened to Tobias Harris. It's really funny. The way that he's just like it's like what did that be? And it's true, but like James Harden had to do that. Like, do you see him? He was given after the Bulls game. He was like, Tobias Harris had, and like looking at the paper, it's like, well, he shot 4 for 10, but he had good defense. He was doing a great job on D.
He did though. I actually like.
He did.
He had a good game, but it's just like no one cares.
It's just the way Coach Harden was trying to sell it. You could tell he was hoping. And like they were good shots when he took them, and so it's like I think he did better than that. And then he looked at the paper, and you could tell he just had to like abort that immediately.
He's like, how much money does this guy make again?
I don't even blame him. I don't blame him for the contract because like of course if you're Tobias Harris and someone offers you a max deal, you're like, yeah, sure, whatever, I don't care.
Yeah. So yeah, it's funny. It is funny because it does feel like. Like after the Heat game, I don't know if you saw this the other night, but George Niang and Tyrese Maxey went out with Harden and they went to, everyone was like, they took him out clubbing. And then, but if you watch the video, it was like they were at a steakhouse. The steakhouse is in Miami, playing techno music and like strobe.
Yeah, that's just, you can't get a building permit in Miami without like a smoke machine and the strobe lights. You just have to have that.
It's like a requirement.
Your architect has like a minimum amount of cocaine that has to be in his system every time he's designing that building there. It's a state requirement. It's like part of the city ordinance.
You go to France, you drink the wine. You go to Spain. You go to Miami, you try the cocaine. It's
they have like it's like everyone's got like it's like dispense in every building. You can just like twist it and it comes out, and then you enjoy your steak meal in a briefcase. I think it was in a briefcase, right?
It was. They brought it out in a briefcase. There's like sparklers.
Yeah, it was like Pulp Fiction. It was like Pulp Fiction. Like they open it, there was like glowing inside of it and showing the steak, and that's how they eat it there. And again, they do that for all meals in Miami. Like the kids show up. The kids show up to.
They do it at their houses too.
Yeah. But like you go to the schools, they have like their little lunch briefcases, and they open it up, and the steam comes out, and they take out their Lunchable and their side of cocaine.
Miami seems like such a magical place.
It really is. It's the reverse of Orlando.
It's like literally it's cool.
It's like
Orlando.
It's like a sister thing. You know, like the cool one and the uncool one. Mary-Kate and Ashley, I think they were doing it too.
Yeah, no, Miami, Orlando, complete opposite sides of the spectrum. Same politics mostly though. So,
but no, I mean that was
Republican.
I was like, I could not care less about the Miami game. You could not. You put a gun to my head. You could not make me care about that game.
Nope.
It was.
I watched the game, and I know you didn't catch it, but like,
no,
I took it once again. Third game in 4 days, back to back. Schedule loss. Harden sits out.
That's not even the thing. It's just that when you trade for James Harden, you get like certain. There's a lot of pros. He's a former MVP, revolutionizes your offense, coaches up your young Kentucky guard into Super Saiyan mode. It's great. You just have to accept that like every regular season game in Miami, that's just a scheduled loss. That's not happening. You're not.
Yeah,
that,
he's gonna enjoy himself.
The next day, that's over. You're not getting that.
It's
and like
because,
even like the postseason, like the first game or two.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if we have a Miami series, that is, it's like you think about like Brooklyn fans are worried about if Kyrie has a Toronto play-in game, like they have to go to Toronto. Sixers fans should be worried if we have to play Miami in the playoffs, because I am concerned that James Harden might die if they're in Miami for multiple days.
It just depends. Like if Miami has the home field advantage and like we're starting like 0-0. I think he'll show up and have it together. But like if we get it and we win our first 2 games and we're going in there like up 2-0, or even like if we go up 3-0, no, he's got to take the next one off. He's just gonna be like, you guys, we got this. We're coasting. I'm just gonna, and he'll play as like say, I want to see what Tyrese can do without me. Is what's gonna happen. That is why
he'll spin it. He'll be Coach Harden.
That is, I wanted to see what the rest of the team was capable of. That is why I went off the grid for 28 hours straight, and no one from the team would contact me until I showed back up in Philadelphia, completely passed out.
Yeah, I respect it. I am concerned that if they are to expand the teams, that if they start a team in Vegas, that Harden could ask for a trade again.
He's going to be like he is going to wait until. I'm sure he's discussed this with the league, though. That can't happen until he retires and he can be one of those like player owners. He can have like a stake in it and just like be a part of that. What would the Vegas team? They can't have. I don't think they can have a team in Vegas. I just don't think
they shouldn't have anything in Vegas. Have you ever been to Vegas? It's a horrible place.
Well, yeah, okay, like they literally built it in the middle of a desert just because like nobody else would allow it back then. But like they were like, I can't build a town in the desert. Watch. You can't secretly suspend Michael Jordan for betting on games for 1.5 years, and then like 30 years later say, "Here's our Vegas NBA team."
Well, it's going great for the Raiders. I mean, it's completely spotless record.
Man. That's not funny. Someone died.
All right, fine.
Come on,
God, am I gonna have to edit out multiple things in this podcast? I forgot someone died. Give me a break.
No, I mean it's still it's fun. No, what's funny is that they finally have a Vegas team in the NFL, and they have like it's cool, it's in Vegas, and their QB is Derek Carr. Like that's the face of the Vegas franchise. That's what's funny.
And now they have Mahomes, Herbert, and Russell Wilson in the same division, and you have Derek Carr in Vegas. Congratulations.
Yeah, where were they on the Russell Wilson trade? Where were they? Come on, I expect.
I'm sure they tried. I don't. He's too Christian.
That would have been really funny. You're right. I guess Colorado's sneaky like crazy Christian. People forget that. Like, when
Colorado?
You go more
Oh, okay, yeah, Denver. Gotcha, yeah. No, Colorado's filled with total psychos. Not even just
you go 10 minutes out of Denver, it's all like, just like, those apocalyptic bunker cults living in the hills. It's Denver, Boulder, and like nothing but like there's like remember when like there's that one they like took over like a state park in Oregon or something. It was like for like 3 weeks. That is the average Colorado outside of Denver and Boulder.
Yeah.
They've made some real progress.
Yeah, no, I just want to say we're killing it. We're really doing a good job staying on topic in this episode. But
30 minutes, we hit 2 talking points.
Speaking of Catholics, or Christians, just generally speaking, my grandma did text. My mom texted me last night that my grandma was is now a fan of James Harden because he blessed himself before the game. So
Yes, that's great. Grandma, do not look up any other extracurricular activities involving James Harden. Show her the blessing and him wearing the Blue Lives Matter face mask. That's it. That's Jimmy Harden. Don't look up any other plot points. That's him.
My grandma isn't a fascist. Come on now. But she
this is a funny thing. It's in the same vein. I cannot tell you how happy my father was when he found out that Joel Embiid was Catholic. He was so thrilled.
Joel Embiid was Catholic.
Oh yeah, he's Catholic. Yeah, because he tweeted something when the Pope came by, and he was like, "Oh, this is so cool." And my dad's a good Catholic boy, and as soon as he found out, I saw the light switch flip in his brain from just Joel Embiid being like, "Oh, he's a good player," to like, "Oh, he's a good Catholic kid. I'm rooting for him."
Yeah, as if he wouldn't like him before, the potential MVP of the league, and he's like, I was on the fence about Joel until.
But first of all, this is back in like 2014. That was before he. But like also like he already loved him, but like it just unlocked like a new layer. Now he was like
right, yeah, exactly. Like my grandmom was like, I'll root for the new guy on the team, but also because he's in the same religion as me, the same sect of the same religion as me. Clearly,
he's just giving himself the little blessing. It's very sweet, dude. I'm sure he goes home and reads the gospel, prays a little, calls his mother, goes to bed by 10:30. That's the James Harden story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. Since he's come to Philadelphia, have you seen him after games? He's like lifting weights and running upstairs. He's a completely different
doing
person.
That shit you do when you get He's doing that shit you do when you get a new job and you're all like, "Oh, I'm so happy to be a member of the team. Here I am.
3 months, you're like
showing up at 8. I showed up at 8:30 today just because I was so eager to be here."
And then 6 months in, you're like, "I should probably start looking for new jobs."
Yeah. When the Vegas team opens up. I mean, that's
waiting on that.
We laugh, but that is literally what happened with him in Brooklyn.
No, I mean, one of the reasons why I was so for the Bradley Beal thing when it came out was because what we were talking about was like, we have to look at the next 3 years as a window. I'm like, I look at like the next 18 months as the window, because I'm like, you have James Harden and his temperament.
I mean, it's
Joel Embiid and his knee and foot and back and.
He always wanted to be here. This was always his dream to be.
Yeah, he's not lying about that at all.
Yeah, no, he's not just saying that because he's here and he can get a max contract from us. No, he always he loves Fresh Prince. He loves our terrible cheesesteaks. He does not watch Flyers games. He is one of us.
He dresses like a slob. He's just like me.
Showed up to game in sweatpants. He's one of us.
When I saw him wearing the sweatsuit, I was like, "Yeah, we might win the title. This man is us." He's literally a Philadelphia slob, just like me. But
I mean, what's? Yeah, no, you go.
You could sidebar. It's fine.
No, I usually try and stay on topic, so I'm not really one for sidebars.
Not really sure about that one, but no, I mean, I was just kind of gonna have up on my next thing before we move on. I would laugh if my grandma did find out that James Harden did try to he put out a hit on Moses Malone, his son. So remember we talked about that last time.
I forgot about that. I forgot. Water under the bridge.
Jesus, water under the bridge. He's a Philadelphian now.
Jesus forgives. Who hasn't tried to put out a hit on Moses Malone's son? Maybe Moses Malone's sons just had like terrible vibes. We don't know. We don't get.
It's totally possible. Story. Yeah. Maybe he attacked Harden for his religious beliefs, and maybe my grandma would respect him even more.
Moses Malone's son is not like putting up like 6 threes a game for me and 11 assists. So like I don't really care.
Moses Malone's son is not making Matisse Thybulle into an NBA player on offense. So
that is the real. That's why he's blessing himself. He's doing miracles out there on that court.
He's done miracles on me. I mean, he's literally taken Matisse Thybulle and made him into Bruce Brown 2.0 already. It's amazing.
No, I agree. I'm staying on topic.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I'm for it. Yeah.
Well, okay. So let's talk a little bit just about. By the way, so someone tweeted earlier, and I've been thinking about this a lot. I have the Meek Mill song playing. That will
Love
be it will be the playoff song, the one that Zoe keeps tweeting from the new album. Hold on. So I just want to bring up some numbers that Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey, when they share the court, Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, and James Harden in 117 minutes. So not a huge sample size, almost 3 games worth of minutes. They're a plus 29.9 with a 133 offensive rating, a 103 defensive rating. They're shooting 54.6% from the field and 41% from 3 so far. So
Is that good?
Extremely good. You know what's really funny is that I feel, and this is something that I wanted to talk about, which is because remember when we watched the Warriors first come around, and you see it a little bit with the Grizzlies this year, where it's you're starting to see they just have dominant stretches and games, but because they're built around these high flying athletes like Ja Morant or insane shooters like Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, that the big games really pop. They're oh my, they had the death lineup, and the third quarters they were unbeatable. And the Sixers are putting up once again, it is only a few games. They're 5-0 in those games, but it is only a few games, and 3 of them were against playoff teams, which is another good sign. I wouldn't say any of those teams are contenders, but they're good teams. And it still just feels like I'm watching and I'm it's just such casual dominance because they're so methodical, and they get to the line and they always get good shots, and it's just kind of it almost feels like it hasn't really hit me that this team is a contender because they run teams off the court in such a casual way.
Yeah, no, I was just saying the other day, I don't think we've really had a great Sixers game in the Harden era yet. I don't think we've had a signature wow, what a great performance. They've been good, and they've had great stretches, but overall they still haven't really clicked the way that you would expect this team to eventually do it. And like you said, they're just still you're mopping teams off the floor because it doesn't matter. They're just that good,
and
which is insane for this team.
This is doing it with Matisse Thybulle as the 5th starter, who, well, when he plays with Harden, he's had some very good games, is still offensively challenged. And Tobias Harris not hitting literally any shots outside of the Knicks game. Pretty much being the 2 Knicks games, really just being incredibly cold from the field, not hitting a thing. And I think he has cut down on some of his worst tendencies in the past in last night's game. But a lot of his bad tendencies are when he has the ball, and he just doesn't have the ball right now. And it feels weird that yes, Maxey's had these amazing games, and Harden and Embiid have had these really, really good games. And for their standard, it might not seem super amazing, but it is just strange to me where, you said, it's there's not just one signature win so far where you're just okay, they've arrived. But then their first game ever, they beat the Timberwolves, who are on a hot streak right now. By the way, the Timberwolves outside of the game that we played the Timberwolves in, which was at this point, it was a little over a week ago now. They beat the Grizzlies the game before we played them. Okay. So they beat the Memphis Grizzlies, who are in 2nd place in the West right now. They beat the Cavs right after that. They beat them by 5. They put up 127 in that game. They put up 129 on the Warriors without Draymond Green, but they won that game. And then they crushed 138, 135, and 124 against the Thunder and the Blazers. Now, of course, those are bad teams, but they're killing teams and we held them to 102 points, and we beat them by 31. And we're sitting here being yeah, they haven't really dominated anyone yet. They won by 31 points.
I just think as Sixers fans, we're not used to having a team that can legitimately just out talent other teams.
Yes.
And not outplay, not outperform, but just well, we're just more talented. So us at 60 or 70% is still going to beat you at your 90 to 100%. That's just how it is. And like we haven't had that because it's up until about, I guess, 3 weeks ago at this point, their entire mantra was just like, hope Joel Embiid does something.
Yep.
Hope Joel's knees are ready for this night because he's going to have to play 40 minutes and just get down there and get a bucket. Good luck, man. We have no spacing. But this is like the first time in like a long time that we've just had like basketball that makes sense. We don't have to like spend all this time trying to figure out how to make like the Embiid Simmons pairing work. We don't have to like worry about the talent and the fit. It's just like there are two of the best basketball players on the planet on the court right now, and they are elevating everyone else on the floor. And so we are just flat out more talented than other teams.
Yep.
And so, yeah, they can just show up and they can just be putting in like another day of the office level numbers, and it just gets teams off. And you see it sometimes because, like, in the past couple games, other teams will like, kind of have a lead in the first, and they'll have like, they'll look great in the first quarter. Like the Bulls, I think were like, they were shooting lights out for a while in the first quarter last night.
They didn't even win the first quarter, and it felt like they did. The Sixers won.
No, it did. It just, but like but that's the point. It's just like you can't keep that up, and we can because we're just more talented than you. And like you have to have everything clicking to keep up with us, and we can just kind of show up and coast, and eventually we're just gonna be better than you.
Yep, and they win by 15. The sixth straight game. I'm sorry, the fifth straight game. All 5 Harden games have gotten them at least 120 points so far. Which
the Miami game was a scrimmage that just happened to take place in between.
I don't care about the Miami game because I came away from that game being like, okay, so if James Harden misses a playoff game, we're fucked. But also, we already knew that. Yeah. And also, I watched that game and everyone was like, they played like shit, like whatever. And I'm like, yeah, they did play like shit. But also, Miami was missing Lowry, but they still had their 3 best guys. And the Sixers, when the Sixers are built around Joel Embiid and James Harden, if one of those two is out, we're not winning. We might win a random regular season game against the Thunder or maybe even a middle of the pack team like the Timberwolves or something. But we're not going to beat the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference when they're mostly healthy. And even in that game, we did in the fourth quarter, cut the lead to 5. The offense played like shit, but defensively they went to a zone. Miami struggled with it. The Sixers couldn't hit a fucking shot to save their life. They ended up going at one point. They were 7 for 37 from 3. Nothing was going right for the Sixers that night. Embiid was being double and triple teamed. And ultimately they just didn't have enough talent because when James Harden is out or when Joel Embiid is out, when you build your team to be top heavy, you're going to struggle without the other guy. I came away from that game not being worried about literally anything. And then I think they proved why last night when they went up against Chicago and everyone was like, well, they didn't have Vooch. And I'm like, yeah, Tristan Thompson's worse than Vooch, but the Sixers put up 121 points and Vooch is bad defensively. They might have been able to keep up with us offensively more, but I still think we win that game with Vooch playing because Joel has literally never lost to the Bulls in his career, including this was a season sweep again.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you hit the point where you're saying, well, imagine that game if we had Vucevic in it. Okay, well then you've already admitted that you lost. You can't tell me that was the deciding factor that Joel Embiid would have gotten slowed down by former Sixers legend Nikola Vucevic.
If anything, it was. I mean, he destroys Vooch, and then on top of that, it's if anything, it's Lonzo and Caruso that they miss more, but they haven't had Lonzo and Caruso for most of the season. And it's they've been playing without them for a while. And until these last few games, they've actually been very good. But I do just want to say, I said a week or 2 ago on the podcast that if I had my choice of the top 5 seeds in the Eastern Conference, top 5 or 6 seeds, I said Cleveland and Chicago would be the obvious picks. I think Chicago, once again, They've dealt with injury problems. They're 0-13
against
Sixers, Miami, and Milwaukee. They cannot beat the really good teams.
They're not. I think if you expand it even to the Western Conference teams that they face in the top 3 or 4 seeds, I think it's still. I still think.
Yeah, it's bad. They're 1 in. Yeah. They're 1 in. Yeah, it's 1 in 14 or something against the top 8 seeds or whatever. Like, yeah. They beat up on those lower seed teams and the middle of the pack teams, and then they get pretty much crushed, or just like they had. Funny enough, they had a game against They had a game against the Nets like 2 months ago. The one game that Kyrie, KD, and Harden were all healthy, and they got absolutely run off the floor. So like, I'm not. I mean, it was such a destruction that it literally destroyed the Nets from the inside. So
I know that was the moment that Harden realized, oh, we're not one of the good teams. Let me get out of here. if the Bulls can beat you, that's a sign.
No. The
team.
Nets crush the Bulls is what I'm saying. But KD got hurt in that game, I'm pretty sure, or the next game. So yeah.
I don't know things. You don't bring me on here to like know things. You bring me on here when nobody else is available, and you just are willing to just pump one like the Miami game.
That's true, actually. It's a good point.
Yeah, no, I know. Exactly.
This is my scheduled loss.
How many people turned this down before I said yes?
Only 3, actually.
Yeah.
No,
Trill
DM'd
DM'd me like at 10 o'clock at night last night. Completely stone faced, just like, can you do a pod? And I was like, yeah, sure. It's like, great. And like that was it.
Yeah, cool. Sounds good. I'll send you the link. Whatever. Yes.
I thought you were mad. It was such a like passive aggressive. Like, can you do it? Fine, let's go.
All right, whatever. No, yeah, yeah. I wanted to have. Yeah. There's a revolt against the piggies are revolting against the head hog.
I'm gonna figure out Discord and finally go on there and just unionize the Slop. The Slop fans.
So going back to once again, Joel Embiid never lost to the Bulls in his career. He's 11-0 now, I believe. Had another 40-point something game. Like when the Bulls got Tristan Thompson a few weeks ago, I was talking to some Bulls fans and I was like, you're going to be extremely disappointed if Tristan Thompson ever has to play real minutes for you against the Sixers, because Joel Embiid, for some reason, it's like he sees Tristan Thompson and he just starts seeing red. Like he's just like, I'm going to kill this man. I think it's because do you remember his comments like the 2017-2018 season? I think it was. Oh no, it was after LeBron left the team and Tristan said like, we're still the kings of the East.
Oh
and
yeah.
Talking all this shit, and then we lost to them. Without LeBron, obviously he's not on the team anymore. That was a very bad Cleveland team. Like Ty Lue got fired, and Joel was like, well, I guess they're still the kings of the East. And since then he has made it his life's mission to make sure that Tristan Thompson is playing in Europe next season.
And he's doing an amazing job of it.
He is. He just barreled into him like he was fucking Shaq last night in the fourth quarter to go for 40.
And I looked up. Tristan Thompson was only like a -9. I swear I sworn it was worse than that. He must have been up on DeAndre.
Well, also Tony Bradley is the backup. Like he was answer for Joel. Like I mean, in those minutes, like it was probably even worse, is my guess. Actually, no, they lost by 15. If he was a -9, Tony Bradley's minutes were technically better, but plus minus is a weird stat for single games anyway. I only take it into
it works. It works when it fits my agenda.
Exactly.
It's a good
and
stat
it works when it's the Sixers backup, because the Sixers backup is, as I said last night with DeAndre Jordan and his debut, was all we need from him is to be a complete net neutral. That's a complete net neutral. And that's what he was. He was a 0.
Which is like, I think that's one of the most impressive stat lines I've seen in the NBA this year, I think, just because everyone else on the team was like a plus something. So it's just like that perfect mixture for him to hit the 0 on that. Just like the perfect level of dragging everyone else down just a little bit.
Yeah.
To hit that 0, and then he gets off and like everyone else does better. But like,
honestly, altogether, I felt like it was a fine performance. Like he hit 2 free throws. I mean, he missed the lob, obviously, which was not great. But just like rewatching.
It was that was funny when he missed the lob, because like, man, you were brought to one thing. Come on, like it's I think we all, again, this is like Sixers fans just having like, panic responses to stuff, and like we all still have like this like panic about like the backup center, because it's like been so important for so long, And we've kept like every time Joel Embiid goes to the bench, the team has imploded, and it's been like, oh, we need a good backup center. And we finally had one good enough, and Andre Drummond, he was fine. He somehow got like 35 rebounds in 10 minutes every night. I don't know how the fuck that works, but he always did it. But like the thing is, like the backup center thing isn't as important when those minutes are always going to be with MVP James Harden. And like that's the big difference. Like, you know, if you just have a fine backup center and like everybody's like, you know, freaking out and like, you know, oh, he's not even good. We're not even. And yeah, it'd be nice to give these minutes to Paul Reed, but that was never going to happen because that's just not, you know, Doc Rivers is like reverse Logan's Run. If you're like under the age of 35, he can't see you. If you weren't alive in the Reagan administration and you're not a former All-Star, he just has no time for it. It kills him that he still has to put Tyrese Maxey out there. He's dying every time this little 21-year-old puts up 40 points. It kills him. He's just biting his lip. He's biting. Yeah, absolutely. Lip until he bleeds. The inside, he has shattered like 3 molars. It's just coursing blood every time Tyrese Maxey like, you know, hits another 3 and earns another 5 minutes out there. But like, yeah, it's just. Yeah, everyone's like freaking out over the DeAndre Jordan thing. And it's like, you know, we don't need to worry about the backup center anymore because they're going to be out there with James Harden.
I was freaking out with it. And then I talked myself down over the course of a few days with kind of that logic, which is basically like James Harden was fine with DeAndre Jordan when Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving were out with Brooklyn last year, and he was starting games. Like he was playing starters minutes, and they were barely losing those minutes. So I was like, well, if he could do that, like all we need to do, and like once again, DeAndre goes out there, he hits his 2 free throws, which was like massive for me because that was one of the things I was worried about, even though he's become a better free throw shooter over the course of his career. But Ben Simmons has ruined my brain. But then he got three rebounds last night. I believe 2 of them were offensive rebounds, all 3 were offensive rebounds, and he found shooters afterwards. Like he kicked it out to Danny for a wide open 3. And I was like, it's fine. Like he's fine. Yeah. But also keep in mind, last night is the perfect, like Chicago starting center is out. They don't have good center depth. So they're putting Derek Jones Jr. out there at center. Sometimes they're putting Tony Bradley and Tristan Thompson, who were both in foul trouble. Like it was the perfect debut for him because like if he had debuted against Miami wait, did he play in the Miami game? I can't even remember.
I mean, nobody watched that game. That wasn't real. That wasn't a real game. You know, how many leprechauns played in the Miami game? It doesn't matter. It's not a real stat.
I don't think he did play in that game. I think last night was technically his debut.
Yeah, no, I think he was out. I think he was ruled out of that game because
he was ruled out of that game. He was ruled out because he had James Harden sickness. He was like, I can only play tethered to James Harden.
No, I legitimately think he was ruled out for the reasons that you're saying. They were just like, not this game. This is not gonna be your debut. You don't want this to be your debut game, buddy. We're not gonna do that to you.
Front court is good. James Harden isn't here to make you a viable player on offense. Just sit this one out. And perfect debut. We'll see how it goes against the Nets.
I'm looking at the stats right now. You know what's real funny? Paul Reed played exactly 1 minute against Miami, which is honestly,
I don't even remember him playing, to be honest. I think it was the end of the game, maybe. Yeah,
it must have been. It must have been at the very end. It's just so funny that he, like, you know, they could just so Doc can be like, no, I played him. I technically, honestly, DeAndre Jordan, I'm fine with him being here just because, like, it's like the bone, it's like the carrot on the stick to get Doc not to give minutes to Paul Millsap. Like anyone else, he would have still tried to give. He would have tried to still give Paul Millsap like at least 5 to 7 minutes of run, but like because we gave him DeAndre Jordan, he's gonna be like, oh, then maybe fine, I'll keep him.
I just don't think DeAndre Jordan can be as destructive in his minutes as Paul Millsap can be.
Yeah, no, he can't. He can't really cause that much damage. He's not that level of. He'll get there in like a year or 2, but he can't just like crater the team. Paul Millsap, I swear to God, he's going to retire the second that he's sitting there waiting to retire. He's just like waiting for the team to waive him, and he can't believe that he's still out there.
It is amazing that he has the corpse of Paul Millsap is still on the roster. I'm constantly blown away by it.
There's no we have like 5 bigs on the roster for some reason. And one of them is 39-year-old Paul Millsap. 47-year-old Paul Millsap.
He was 57-year-old Paul Millsap. He was defending James Harden on Twitter today for basically forcing his way out of Brooklyn. So I was like, "You're cool, Paul Millsap. I'll allow it."
I'm saying, that's what we need to do.
Him there for emotional support.
We waive him, and then we keep him. We give him one of those bullshit front office jobs, so he still stays there, and he just sits there tweeting. He and Elton just sit in the corner and pretend that they're part of the front office decision making, and he just tweets through the Sixers games.
There you go. I mean, can he just be what Mike Scott was for us last year, which is just a cool guy that sits at the end of the bench and never touches the court?
I mean, it's just I guess, but it's just that we already have 3 of those now, but they're all under the age of 23. It's just that they won't get run.
Right. And my whole thing is I would have liked to see them go out and get a wing, but who are they going to get at this time of year? James Ennis? If that's it, he's the only one.
No, he fits. He rebounds. That's what we need. We just need someone who can box out. It makes too much sense. That is one thing
that I've been thinking about with the rebounding, because everyone keeps getting mad. I don't know if you caught this last night in the game. Everyone was getting mad at Tobias because Tobias sucks at rebounding. And Thybulle's not good at rebounding either. And our bigs, when they're not completely engaged, they can't rebound everything. Because teams shoot so many threes. Hold on.
Okay.
All right. Well, what do you want to say? Say it.
I just want to say Matisse Thybulle is not good at rebounding. Tobias Harris actively boxes out his own teammates. Okay,
correct.
There's different levels of that. Okay, yes. We need to make that say Matisse is just I don't know what to do, and Tobias is correctly executing what he's supposed to do, but against James Harden.
I agree, but what I was going to say is that one of the things in the modern NBA, because teams shoot so many threes, that it just generates more long rebounds, which means that your wings and your guards should be better at rebounding, generally speaking. That's one of the things that Morey emphasized with Houston, is that you don't always have to have a big out there, because if you have good rebounding guards and wings, it can make up for that. And the thing about our wings, like you said, they're not good. Tobias is not good. And everyone was getting mad at Tobias last night because he didn't box out a few times and blew. There was one play where they were at the free throw line, and Harden, when I say he didn't box out, he didn't even move off of the line. He literally just watched it miss. And then the guy jumped in front of Tobias, who was boxing out, and Tobias couldn't grab it because the guy wasn't boxed out. And then everyone got mad at Tobias. And I was like, first off, James Harden, you're doing great, sweetie. You're fine. You're James Harden. You can not box out, and I'm not going to get mad at you. Tobias is the one that needs the box out in every play, because we need him and Thybulle to do role player things.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing, you just yell at Tobias to get paid $40 million. You pay me $40 million, the entire Delaware Valley can just come and punch me in my face. They come to my house, knock on the door, punch me in the face, leave. That's fine. $40 million that can afford facial reconstruction. It's fine. But I mean, it's and also Tobias at this point just has the reputation. He's in the doghouse.
Yep.
The Ben Simmons trade was terrible for him, because now it's clearly him who's the problem.
Yeah.
We can just blame on
I literally just had a realization. It's like in The Office when Michael Scott, anything. It's funny enough, Toby. The character that Michael Scott
Toby.
Anything he does is he can't. No Sixers fan can stand it, because he is Toby.
I gotta get Z to do another Office mashup with Toby as Toby. We could probably get that graphic. That'd be good.
I mean,
also, wait. Before we lose it, just on James Ennis, one more second. I think James Ennis could be the missing piece to actually have the 4-guard and Embiid lineup.
There you go.
I'm just saying, Harden, Beal, Maxey, Ennis just out there to grab whatever rebound clanks off, and then Joel Embiid. There you go.
He unlocks it.
Yeah, he does.
There you go.
I'm just gonna be a James Ennis truther. That's gonna be my brand from now on.
I'm not even doing a bit. James Ennis actually played pretty good defense on Giannis in the bubble in the first round.
I mean, I'm just saying, if you're gonna have a dude at the end of his career James Ennis makes 1,000 times more sense than Paul Millsap for this team.
I totally agree.
And like he's
agree.
also old, so that scratches Doc's itch. We'll call it that. I don't know what you want to call it, but like he every time he plays someone over the age of like 36, he just like feels an endorphin rush.
Yeah, it's a kink. We've talked about this before.
I didn't want to call it that because I don't believe in kink shaming. I can itch shame. But like it's different.
Doc's into mature stuff. What can I say? All right, so
The Athletic listening in.
I'm not editing that one out.
No.
So two things before we move on from the Bulls game. Actually, the last thing for the Bulls game, Furkan finally fell out of the rotation, which thank fucking God, dude, because holy shit, Furkan has been brutal.
I think he needs. It's not. He just needs it. I think he needs some time to like. I think we've reached the point where sending him back out there is just doing more harm than good. He wasn't playing through it. I'm not even gonna make jokes.
Hit a shot.
Like, he just no.
He's been shooting like 20% from the field. He's been pretty much a disaster. I thought that maybe Harden coming in could just be good because he would get a ton of catch and shoot threes and he could maybe get his confidence back, but he can't hit a fucking shot. He doesn't bring anything unless he has the ball in his hands, and you really want him to have the ball in his hands when you have Maxey and Embiid and Harden, and like ultimately,
I mean that's the thing. Getting Harden gave us that. Him and Maxey can be the playmakers at any given time. So there's no reason for him to ever have the ball in his hands.
Right. So Danny did have a good game last night before he bled all over I don't even know what that was. He like cut his hand and then like bled all over the court.
I mean, it's just I don't know. Danny Green seems like the guy. I don't know why this is, but if you like told me like a Sixers player like spontaneously just started bleeding on the court out of nowhere with no context, I would just be like, oh, is Danny Green okay? Somehow I would just assume it was him. That just feels right.
Yeah, well, it was him, and I guess he's okay. He didn't come back in the game, but we were winning, so I'm assuming he's fine. Danny actually was one of the bright spots in the last two games. He was really good in the Miami game defensively. Last night he hit an open three. He took shots, he took an open three without hesitation, nailed that, and then played some really great help defense. I need Danny to be playable because I do worry a lot about the wings when it comes to playoff time, because I'm like, on any given night, Tobias can be a disaster. On any given night, Thibault can be a disaster. And then you're basically depending on Danny Green and George Niang for big minutes. And like those two pretty much have to be like Danny Green can't get roasted by D'Angelo Russell types in the playoffs. Yeah. Like he can, I understand when it's Bradley Beal and Trae Young and the guys that he should never be in charge of guarding anyway. But like if Danny is playable in the playoffs, he needs to be able to stay in front of his man. And one of the things that we have seen him struggle with this year is that, but he has looked much better the past few games. And I'm hoping that he can be just like a solid bench wing seventh man type.
Yeah, no, I mean, of the four, I forget who I saw say this, but like, of Harris, Thibault, Danny, and Niang, we really just need like two of them to show up in any given game. Like two of them to show up and be decent and like, not implode, because like obviously we've got the Embiid, Harden, Maxey taking like 80% of the load. We just need like two of those guys to just be able to like be competent basketball players for about 30 minutes a pop.
Yep.
And it's been happening so far. It's just like not consistent. It's just like you have to like plug and play and hope and see which one of them shows up.
Yeah, it's like Niang will take every open three and he'll hit a few. That brings offensive value. Defensively, he's going to foul a ton. That's his thing. Like he's just going to foul a lot. Like it's going to be hard to keep him around all the time because of the fouling. Tobias, I've done the Tobias conversation 100 times. He's been very frustrating to me. Last night, even though I thought that he still did some Tobias things, as Doc says, I felt like defensively, he was really good on DeMar, slowed down their offense a lot because he was able to contain him. And I felt like offensively, he's taking
Well,
open shots.
It was a little bit like, I want to say for the Tobias Harris defense. I mean, it was great, but like the thing is, because I mean, who were the centers for the Bulls? It was Tristan Thompson and
Tony Bradley.
Yeah, I mean, like, so Embiid had a little bit more flexibility on defense. He was kind of like, providing more. He didn't have to. That wasn't like a very tough defensive assignment for him that night. And so I think that kind of factor, when we're talking about Tobias having a good defensive game, I do kind of think that kind of was a factor into it. Like,
absolutely. But he kept up with DeMar in space, which is really what I was worried about. Because like DeMar's been cooking guys off the dribble all season. And the fact that he was able to like kind of stay on top of him, I think it helps a little bit that DeMar isn't a 3-point shooter, so he can play off him a little bit. Like Tobias tends to struggle with like the Jaylen Brown types who are like rangy shooters who can like hit threes, but also can just speed right past you and like burn you. Like I said this earlier, but it's like Tobias is the worst flexible defender in the NBA, if this makes any sense. So like one game he can guard Karl Anthony Towns, the next game he can guard Darius Garland, and then the next game he can guard DeMar DeRozan. But in between that, he's going to go up against Jaylen Brown and get fucking turned to dust. Like he's going to have certain matchups where you're just like, well, Tobias is getting cooked tonight, and because of the offensive struggles, you're going to be very frustrated with the defensive struggles. But DeMar has been an absolute beast recently, and Tobias was able to slow him down. So I'll take whatever I can get positively from Tobias. I feel like it's like I'm talking about a child now at this point, where I'm just like, do whatever, really, do little things.
Anytime he does anything else besides just go out there and get 40 minutes of cardio, I feel like giving him a gold star and saying, good job, buddy. You did it.
It's a win. We're stuck with him.
There was one point where like he was just standing in the corner and Harden dished it to him, and he took it, and like he hesitated for a second. He looked like he wanted to try and do one of his passes, but he actually took the open three and he missed it. But like I was like, oh, you took it though. You took the open three. Yeah, no, and that's literally the level I am with him. He's like, oh, well, you did the thing that you're supposed to. It didn't work. But like, yeah, when you're wide open in the corner and James Harden passes to you, you're supposed to make the attempt. And it bounced around a little bit and it went out, but you did it, buddy. Yeah. And like that's my level with him. Like just trying. I'm like, okay, you tried. I'm happy now.
I agree. It is sad that we've come to this, but like, as long as Tobias is not actively over dribbling, which he only did like 2 or 3 times I noticed last night, I think that every time that Tobias dribbles, now he should be fine. But I do think that like him taking open shots and not actively harming the offense and playing capable defense is about as much as I can expect from him right now, which is sad to say. But so
if we tell Doc that he has to play Isaiah Joe like 1 minute for every time Tobias dribbles, he'll have that cleaned up overnight.
That's actually great. I will say Isaiah Joe, I believe I'm not sure how many minutes he clocked. I think he clocked 7 or 9 minutes last night. It's progress. He played real minutes, and he shot open threes, which and drew 2 offensive fouls, like a charge, and when he was navigating a screen, he got an illegal screen. He played 11 minutes. So Tobias played 37 minutes last night and shot 2 threes. Hold on.
Unlike Korkmaz,
Tobias shot 2 threes in 37 minutes. Isaiah Joe played a third of that. He played 11 minutes, which is less than a third of that, and he shot 3 threes in those 11 minutes. He only made 1, but still.
He still tried. I mean, it's because he's a real NBA player, unlike Korkmaz.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, if Korkmaz isn't hitting open shots or even willing to take them, he's not an NBA player.
I mean, this is kind of a bigger discussion because I think we're about to move on to something else. But like, I just want to say all this was talking about like Tobias Harris and Korkmaz and the Niang and Jordan minutes. It's going to seem like a year from now, it's going to be like a world away because I know Daryl Morey's just going to hit the fucking implode button on this roster this offseason. He finally got Harden. He got Embiid. He realized he knows what Maxey is. He's just got to put those 3 aside and just like rip up the floorboards of everything else and just completely remake it. So it just, every now and then I just have this moment where I'm like, oh my God, I'm still talking about Korkmaz minutes. We have James Harden. What am I doing?
I know it is.
What am I talking about?
It is weird because I'm having to adjust my brain from not having to worry about like the ninth man, and because it's like, oh, because James Harden lifts up everyone around him and Joel Embiid lifts up everyone around him, and they'll always be on the court at the same time, or at least one of them will be on the court. Yeah,
it's just a different world now, and my stupid process error brain can't get to it. Yeah, no, my Sixers Twitter brain that lived through the Horford, Embiid, Simmons era just can't process that this is where we're at.
I know. It is very weird because it's like I'm so reactionary when it comes to things that I have to like this is the thought process. The DeAndre Jordan thing is a perfect example. I have a meltdown. I'm like, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to the Sixers. And then over the course of a day, I'm like, I come to terms with it. And I'm like, all right, well, what are you going to do? Like DeAndre Jordan, he's not Paul Millsap. He's not Paul Millsap.
I mean, it's also just like, I know there's like 29 other teams in the league whose fans, they get the Woj notification that I know. I did that one for you. I know. I remember.
Woj is back, baby.
Yeah, I brought that one back out. I was thinking of it. I was like, I should do it the right way. No, I know what the people want. I know what the ball listeners are looking for. It's
part of the YKB lore.
When you get the Shams notification that like your team signed DeAndre Jordan, 29 other teams' fan base is just like and like they swipe away and like they move on with their days like well-adjusted human beings. It's just Sixers fans who like then spend like 48 hours debating the merits of a DeAndre Jordan backup center signing.
It's true. When the Lakers got DeAndre Jordan, their fans were like, we just got a multiple-time all-NBA center, former all-defense. Like, we just got an all-star, basically. And then they realized that was not the case.
Yeah. But, like, that's pretty low on the list of things that Lakers fans are focused on right now.
No, I agree. But what I'm saying is, like,
I know.
Heat fans, Lakers fans, like even Celtics fans, like there's a section of Celtics Twitter that's like Sixers fans, but there's a grouping of Celtics, they call it green teamers, that are just like everything that the team does can do no wrong. And Sixers fans have had such the opposite reaction to that for years that like even when we have a good GM who just got us one of the 15 to 12 best players alive, a former MVP, and we got rid of him for someone who was never going to play for the team again, our brain was like, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. DeAndre Jordan on the Sixth, like how could you?
Okay, real quick. At some point, we all need to sit down and like create like a list of like the different factions of NBA Twitter, like green teamers and shit. Like I want like a full like the Warriors, like the movie. The Warriors, they were going through New York and they were seeing all these different style, like rival gangs they had to fight their way through. I want that, but for NBA Twitter, we need to just like, what was
the
that?
Green Teamers.
Oh, okay,
yeah. InfoWars Twitter.
You're just saying that just so you can dress up as with the tinfoil hat. And like
I gotta do that for an episode. Okay, so if the Sixers do go after Beal this summer, and that's like a real thing, I'm wearing the tinfoil hat. Like the second that the rumors start to heat up, I'm wearing a tinfoil hat on the episode, and I'm going to come in and start talking like Alex Jones.
You need to do like a full 90-minute podcast where you just stay in character the entire time. It's just like one long bit.
Bradley Beal will be a Philadelphia 76er.
I think he will, though.
All I'm saying is, Gary Harris on the MLE, it was written.
You have like the background for it too right now. I don't know. Is this? Are you releasing the video, or is this just going on?
Yeah, no, the video will come out on YouTube.
If you're listening to the audio version of this, please look it up because I said beforehand it looks like he's in the bathroom of a 1980s like studio club and like somebody should be handing out cocaine.
Yeah, that's why we started talking about the Heat and Pat Riley.
Good old Pat.
Yeah, it's directly related to that. But okay, so let's hit on two more things before we get out of here. Oh yeah, last thing on the Bradley Beal Lakers brain that I'm bringing back. I'm doing a full circle moment here. I am to the point where, because the Harden trade gave me such a dopamine rush, and like the months of talking about Ben Simmons gave me so much CTE, that I am like, I don't care about role players to the point where I'm like, just give me the 2012 Lakers. Or like, even though I know that didn't work, I'm just like, just give me every star you can, and we'll figure out the rest later, because I have Lakers brain now. Like James Harden, watching a man who can dribble, shoot, and pass on the Sixers has made me the most 1% spoiled fan of any person that's ever lived.
So okay, so are we going somewhere with this? Do you have like a big?
No,
big
I'm just saying.
Okay, no, okay, yeah, no,
give me all the stars. I don't. Yeah. Please never speak to me again about like PJ Tucker or like Jay Crowder. I don't have time for that.
When does Carmelo become a free agent?
There you go. Now you're thinking. We could have Tobias Harris on the minimum. Except he shoots more threes.
Nothing would make me happier than having Melo come and be a Sixer. Could you imagine if Melo finally wins a ring and it's as a Philadelphia 76er? That would be the greatest.
That would be incredible, but I just want to say, I've been thinking about it because I'm like, you know how like every backup center in the NBA hates James Harden? Because I was like, oh, well, we can't get Dwight because Dwight hates James Harden like last year. And it was like, oh, we can't get Boogie Cousins because Boogie hates James Harden. And like, oh, him and DeAndre used to beef too because they're on the same team and blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was thinking about it and I was like, every like reclamation project signing you could do, like a Melo, like Daryl Morey's already done it in Houston and it did not work like ever, except for like Jeff Green.
But this time it will.
There you go.
It never works.
Because we're Lakers right now. Everything works now.
They didn't have Joel Embiid.
That's
or
right.
Tyrese Maxey.
Stay woke.
Or Tobias Harris doing cardio. Well, he's gonna be gone next year. But
he'll be in DC, dude. He'll be hanging out with his buddies at like a NFT libertarian think tank or something.
No, we wouldn't trade him. For Beal in the Beal trade. Would are you saying we do?
You know how salary matching works? We have to get rid of someone.
I thought isn't there? No, I thought we were doing the whole thing where Harden doesn't opt in.
Sure, but he'd still have to take. I mean, once again, James Harden is not going to take $30 million a year.
Does he want a ring? I'm a Lakers brain. This is how it works.
So you're not going to take $20 million less a year to play for the Lakers, aka the Sixers? What's wrong with you, James Harden?
I don't know things. It's whatever. Next point.
But yes. So in that instance, we would be trading. I don't know where Tobias would go, but he would not be in the greater Philadelphia area.
Somehow he's ending up in Oklahoma City. We all know this. He's going to
or Houston. It's either Houston, Oklahoma City, or one of the teams where you can just San Antonio, maybe.
No, because Oklahoma City makes sense because Sam Presti is the one who I could seeing the value of like a massive expiring contract next year in like 2024.
He's got 2 years left. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you just burn through a year. Who cares? You're Oklahoma City. Nobody's paying attention. And then the year after that, he becomes like the biggest expiring contract in the NBA. And like Sam Presti sees that and sees like dollar signs. So I could see him.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, I can get 2 extra first round picks out of this. One that's 9 years away from now. Let's do it. Okay. So real quick on the Joel MVP thing. I don't know about you, but I agree. But I'm also like, I just don't really care about it now that we have Harden. Like, I'm like, we can win a title. Like, why do I care about a regular season award?
I don't care so much about Joel Embiid winning the MVP. I care very deeply about Jokic not winning the MVP over Embiid. That's more
I care about making people angry online. I'm not even joking. That's my number one reason I want him to win.
I can't let the stat muses win. I cannot let HP basketball have this win. I cannot give this. If Giannis wins it, I'm fine. I don't care about that. If he wants to win another MVP, that's fine with me. But I obviously, if Joel Embiid wins the MVP, I will literally never stop talking about it until I die. But what matters most, because what's insane to me is the Jokic fans. He's the reigning MVP, and they still treat him like he's like this super underappreciated. Like,
Yes.
hey guys, have you heard of Jokic? Yeah, he's the reigning MVP. We all know
he literally won MVP last year, and I see people being like, "You just got to give more respect to Jokic," and I'm like, okay, so you're people who think that Jokic doesn't get enough respect or whatever. So the people that don't respect him are Sixers fans who want their guy to win MVP. So they have a little bit of bias towards this situation. And two,
no, I don't.
it's no, not at all. Clearly,
I'm objective.
Embiid's better, obviously. But Nick Wright, Kendrick Perkins, people who are paid to go on television and make people mad. That's their job. Their job is literally to go in there and be like, oh, everyone thinks Jokic is MVP. Well, I'm going to say the complete opposite and make a lot of people mad online. And it's a business model. And then people get mad online, and then everyone talks about it. Like, it's very obvious to me.
They're throwing out
the same thing, like the people that were getting mad at. It's the people that were getting mad at, like Rick Bucher and Jason McIntyre. I'm like, these guys don't. They're not this real. Is not their opinions. You think they think that Joel Embiid and James Harden aren't good together? Like, come on.
No, they're just. It's not that. It offends me when it's like bad. When it's just like weak and like you if you're gonna be making me mad, put some effort into it. Don't just say
don't phone it in.
Embiid, Harden bad. Like, make up some like statistical model that shows they're bad because of like the ratio of like leprechauns to nickels. Show me that.
Call it the grift metric, and just like. I don't get mad at Nick Wright or Stephen A. Smith because they're like they get into it, or Skip Bayless, like they're like it's part of their character.
Skip is the master. I can't even get mad, Skip. It's just like watching Picasso
Stephen A. is
work.
The master, in my opinion, but yes.
Stephen A. didn't commit all the way and become a Cowboys fan just to make people mad.
True. Yeah, he's very dedicated to the bit.
I know, and Skip. I love him for it.
He's a lifelong bit.
The other thing with Skip is that so many other people would have given up on like trying to badmouth LeBron years ago and like say he's not actually that great. Skip has just quadrupled down on it. He has made that his legacy.
Yes.
Trashing LeBron. Like, the better LeBron has gotten, the more he's doubled down on it, and that's what makes him the master. He put
him ninth all time on his
that's
the greatest players of all time.
And that's like, if you were a lazy one, if you were like one of these lazy like trolls, you would just be like, he's not even on my top 20. And like, just to get people mad. Skip just found that perfect, like, okay, he's in my top 10. I'm going to put him ninth. Just ninth. Because like, you can like almost see like you can see the logic of him being like, maybe third or fourth. And then he just pushed it a little bit further. He knew if he pushed him out of the top 10, it'd be too much. And like, nobody would take him seriously. He didn't. He settled on ninth, and it's like, oh, you don't think the ninth best player in NBA history is that good? Wow, now you're the ridiculous one.
It's brilliant. It is performance art. But the thing about Stephen A. Smith that I love and like is he really embodies the take economy, because it's like he is such a take artist that like 3 weeks ago, he was like, this is the worst day of Daryl Morey's career. Like, I respect Daryl Morey, but like, this is a tragedy on levels we've never seen before, because he traded for a former MVP candidate or MVP, whatever. Yeah. Okay.
He gave up Andre Drummond.
Yeah. He gave up the better Curry brother in the trade and sent him to the rival.
True,
so think about it like that. So he does this whole thing. And then there's 3 games of the Embiid Harden Sixers, and he's like, I'm gonna have to eat my words. He just goes on television and he's like, I'm wrong. Like, I just admit that I'm wrong.
He knows which way the wind's blowing.
Yeah,
he can see it. That's the pivot. He sneaks that pivot in.
He saw it coming from a mile away. He's like, well, I'm gonna get ahead of myself before the Sixers win 14 in a row and I look like an idiot.
It's really it's like a Picasso Monet kind of thing. Him and Skip, like, they're two masters of it. Who we really did not appreciate the first take era when they were like going at each other enough.
Could you imagine if they got them back together? I need it.
Could you imagine that as like, I would watch that as a pay-per-view thing, just like, the first take reunion, just Skip and Stephen A. Smith going at it again. We did not give enough roses to that when we were getting it as like a daily feature.
It's true.
I would pay $20 to see it now.
I go back and I watch highlights sometimes when I'm bored. I'm not even joking. Like it's like watching two prize fighters in their prime, like just sparring. Like it's incredible. I miss it. I wish they would bring it back. But last thing about Stephen A. Stephen A. is like a jazz musician, is what I've put it. It's like he has like a rhythm and a cadence to his likes. Like he's like he did this thing on Harden that I posted on Twitter, and I'm like, there's no one else that could do and like he'll like hit different notes and like go like back and forth with like the way that he talks is in like such a rhythm. He's amazing, dude. Like I absolutely love Stephen A.
It's an art. People don't appreciate it, but it is legitimately an art what they do.
And they're the only two that are really good at it.
Yeah, you don't see it until you see all the people who are attempting to do it, and you're like
the Trista Cricks.
Yeah. It's just you're not at the level.
You're not. It's not in your soul. You don't have a takesman soul. No. You can tell that it's not. It's like when Macklemore came out. You're like, you're not like it's not part of you. Like we see through it. All right. So last thing, Trista Crick is Macklemore. I'm sure that's what people came for.
Okay.
But Jason McIntyre, any one of those hacks, whoever you want to talk about. But okay, so we have the last thing, which my phone died. I had my notes on it, but I do remember, which is we're doing great here. We're an hour and a half.
I swear to everyone listening, we actually do try. He sent me like talking points. So let's try and stick to these topics, and I was like, sure. And then like within 30 seconds, I was gone. But he tries. He does try.
We were trying, folks. We were trying, and I'm sure you didn't hear half our conversation because we were talking over each other, but this is what happens when you get us together. So the last thing, Ben Simmons will be returning to Philadelphia on Thursday.
No, he won't.
Okay, so you think he's not even going to show up?
I think he's going to find a reason not to show up. He's just going to find. I know he'll actually be there, but like until I actually see him on the bench, I'm going to be convinced he's going to be like, oh, my car had a flat. I can't. My back somehow broke again. I can't do it. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know.
But no, he'll be there, and it's gonna be.
I can't imagine this going well, though. I just can't imagine this like I feel like it's gonna, like they said, they're gonna have extra security there. Like people are just gonna be wild. Like if you're going to the game, don't do anything stupid. You can yell at him, you can boo at him. Don't do anything fucking dumb though. And I just want to say that, like, apparently this is part of like a litigation process where they're trying to in arbitration. They're trying to win back like some of the money that Ben lost from sitting out, and like going to Philadelphia would prove what? That like the fans don't like him. Like I don't. I think
it's like saying they're expecting us to like just boo him the entire time and be like, see, how could he play in front of these? But like, and then I'm seeing like people say, oh, so we should cheer him so he doesn't win. That's but like, no, I don't care anymore. He's not on the team. Take Joshua Harris's money. That's fine.
Yeah,
taking Joshua Harris's money without earning it would be like the first cool thing Ben Simmons has ever done in the city of Philadelphia. Like not showing up to work for like 7 months, getting us James Harden, and then taking money he did not earn from Joshua Harris. I will take back out the Ben Simmons jersey I have. I will put it back on. That is finally I can connect with this man.
He's a labor hero, which is what I've been saying for months.
Yeah, and union contracts, they really work out, man. The NBA player union. That's why I'm unionizing. Me and the other Slop addicts
here at YKB. No YKB union. I will not recognize this.
Fucking Trill Bro Musk.
So yeah, I'll have a follow-up episode after the Nets game, but don't do anything dumb.
I just want to say no one should have any opposition to Ben Simmons getting paid anymore. He's left. He's gone. It's over. Yeah, take Joshua Harris's money. Why are you defending a billionaire's money? I'm seeing people say, "Oh, we have to make sure he doesn't get that." Who cares anymore? We have James Harden. Move on.
Yeah,
let him steal. I hope he goes into Joshua Harris's office, his house, just takes some things, walks out. That's great. Have fun, man. That'd be a Nets bonding exercise. They can all go mug Joshua Harris. That sounds great.
I agree. Totally agree. Yeah, no, I could give a shit less.
It was one thing when he was here because that way, when he wasn't getting paid, it was because we thought we would have to get him on the court at some point, regain some trade value. Yeah, I'm sorry, I just had a cough and I did not let it stop me. I don't give a shit. We're past 90 minutes on this now.
We're going live.
I'm fried. Yeah. You can edit that part out like you did all the other things that we've said on here. If you're listening to this and you're like, hey, I'm only at the 81-minute mark. Why is he saying 90-minute mark? There were some things that probably didn't make the final edit. There were some things that did not make the final cut. That's the Patreon exclusive.
Yeah, if you pay for the Patreon, you can have evidence that will ruin my life. So
I forgot what. Oh, my point is when he was on the team and him losing money just because we were trying to get back on the court because we thought that would help his trade value some, and then we get James Harden trade. But then we got the James Harden trade anyway, so who cares? Let him get his money. It's not mine. Yeah. It's not the team's. It's gone.
Yeah, totally cool with me.
Yeah,
I don't care.
If you care about that, you're a bootlicker, and just get off my timeline.
Agreed. Totally agree. Bankrupt Josh Harris Hive. Stand up. All right, Matt. Thank you for coming on. It was a lot of fun, as it always is.
This was a disaster. You know that. It was fun.
Yeah,
everyone who listened to this is dumber now.
You'll this never is be allowed back on, especially if you unionize.
Okay, well, I'll see you in 4 days.
All right, peace, bud.
See you, man.